welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this super useful, but also super simple dishcloth and hot pad set. Now for this, you're going to be needing right around 4 ounces of cotton yarn for the hot pad and right around 2 ounces of yarn for the dishcloth. Now we're going to be making this using the lemon peel stitch, which is pretty dense, pretty thick, and it is very, very textured. You see all that texture? So when you're using this stitch for dishcloths and whatnot, it can really get in there and scrub. Stay tuned and I will show you how to make it. All right, y'all, let's get started. So for your hot pad, what you're going to need, roughly 4 ounces of cotton yarn. Now this is a brand that I'm going to be using, the Sugar and Cream from Lily. I got this at Joann's, but you can get cotton yarn pretty much any craft store that carries yarn. But like I said, you are going to need 4 ounces. This is a size 4 medium weight yarn, and the color is ecru. So you're going to need that. You're going to need a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. Let's see if we get up here. Hello. There we go. This particular one is from Clover. Now, if you watched other crochet videos of mine, you know that I like to use a size 5 millimeter for most of my projects. But when you're making pot holders, hot pads, things like that, you need your stitches to be very tight and dense and compact, which is why I'm going to be using a smaller hook. You're going to need scissors and a yarn needle. Of course, you already know that. But let's go ahead and get our yarn on our hook. And to do that, we're going to be making a slip knot. So you're going to wrap it around your fingers and then tuck it in. Now for these stitches and everything, I'm not going to be going super slow because I do have a lot of crochet videos for beginners that explains all of the stitches. Just look in my playlist for those. So now I have the yarn on my hook and we are going to chain 30. So to chain, you are going to zoom in, you're going to loop around and pull through. That's 1. You're going to get glitter under your nails. I have several projects going. So that's 1. Loop it around and pull through for 2. Loop it around and pull through 3. Now you're going to chain 30, okay? That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Now to start on our first row, you are going to make a double crochet in the second chain from the hook. Okay, now let's take a looky here. You see this loop that's on your hook there? That does not count for anything. So that's not a stitch. That's not a stitch. You're going to go 1 and 2. That's the stitch you're going to go into. This does not count. 1, 2. So you're going to make a double crochet into that one. So you're going to loop around, go into that second stitch, grab your yarn and pull through. You have 3 loops. Pull through 2 loops. Now you have 2. And then pull through 2. And there's your double crochet. Now in your next stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. So go in, pull your yarn through. You have 2 loops. And then pull through those 2. That's your single crochet. Now all this pattern is alternates of double and single crochet. That's all it is. So we did a double, a single, and now you're going to do a double in the next stitch. And then in the next one, do a single. See? Double, single, double, single. Now let's do a double. And a single. Now you are going to do this all the way across till you get to the very end, and you should end with a single crochet. Now if you want to make these bigger, you can. If you want to make them smaller, you can. When you do your initial chain, just always chain an even number. Okay? Just an even number, and you can make any size you want. But I'm going to work all the way to the end double, single, ending on a single, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm at the end of my row here, and I just ended with a single crochet. Now what, my sparklies. Okay, I am a consultant with Paparazzi Jewelry, and this is where I got my ring and this pretty bracelet. I have a link in the description box to where you can either sign up to be a consultant, or you can just click that link and you can shop. But anyway, all their pieces are $5, and I've been wearing them for a very long time. So I thought I'd throw that in there. But I just ended on a single crochet, and now what we're going to do is prepare for the second row. So to do that, we're going to chain 2. There is 1 and 2. Now flip her around. So now we're going to start working back the other way, doing the exact same thing we did with this first row. We're going to start with a double crochet and then do a single all the way to the end. So to begin, like I said, we just chained. Now here's our chain. And now this stitch right here, this is your very first one. Chain, and then this is the stitch. You're going to go into that stitch right there with a double crochet. So let me get my yarn flipped around here. I'm going to go in for a double. And then the next one, do a single. And for this first row or so, you know, until you get used to the way the stitches look, you have to pay close attention to make sure that you really don't skip one. In the next one, we're doing a double and then a single. Double, single. And then you're going to do this all the way to the end. And then when you get to the end, chain 2, flip it, and do the same thing. Double, single, double, single. Now we're on row number 2. You want to have 25 rows, okay? Because we're going to make this a square. So go ahead and work your way on up until you have 25 total rows, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what to do. Okay, I zoomed out a little bit so that you can see my full piece here. So this is 25 rows, and you see the texture here? That's where it gets the name, you know, the lemon peel stitch. It's all textured and bumpy like a lemon peel. So here's the tail where we started, which meaning this is the back of our work because the tail is on the left from where we started, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to put on a border. Now when you are stitching 2 pieces of crochet together, it's always a lot easier if you can start off with a smooth border, okay? Because you see this edge is smooth, but this edge is a little bit bumpy. So, you know, if you put a border around it, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to stitch together here just in a few minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and then let's turn it so that we're looking at the right side of our work. Now we're just going to make single crochets all the way around. So let me zoom in, high, low. Was that too much? Let me back up. Back it up, lady. Okay. So now that we have chained 1, this is the corner of our project. This is the very first stitch. You are going to work 3 single crochets into that. Why are you doing 3 in the corner? It just helps you to round that corner. So right there, we're going to do 3. That is 1, 2, and 3. Get in there. Okay, so now you're just going to do a single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So this is the top of our project, and I'm just going to do the single crochets. And then once you get over to the side, you just kind of have to eyeball it and take a guess as to where to put the stitches. But let me get across the top here and I'll show you. All right, so I'm at the end of this row, and this is going to be my last stitch. So you never work into the chain. You always just want to work into that last stitch. That chain does not count as a stitch. So I'm in the corner. That was single crochet number 1. So now I'm going to do 2 and 3, and we have rounded that corner, and now we're going to start down the side. Now if you can see, it's kind of jumbled up. But you just have to place your single crochets. Now take it slow when you're doing this. Just place your single crochets sort of evenly all down the side. See, that looks like a good place. And you just work it all the way down. Now, every few stitches or so, until you get used to this, until you get used to, you know, working on a jaggedy edge, every so often, lay it down and take a look at it. You want it to be laying flat. Now, if you're starting to put on your border and you see that it's kind of scrunching up like this, you're not putting enough stitches. You need to pull some out and put some more in. Now, if you see that it's starting to buckle and make waves like this, you're putting too many. So take some out, you know, just do 5 or 6 stitches and then lay it down and see if it's flat. So let's pick it back up. Dadgummit, let's pick it back up. And then I'm just going to work them evenly all the way around. Like so. And then when I get to the corners, just work your 3 single crochets and then go back down the other side. Okay, so I'm going to work on that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my 2 hot pad sides made here. So the piece that I showed you how to make before, you just make 2 of them. Just make 2 of them, and here's my 2. Now, for your dishcloth, just use one of the sides. You know, you just finish it off and you just use one. And there's your dishcloth. And these are wonderful dishcloths. I like to knit as well. And I usually knit my dishcloths. But the texture on these is really, really awesome for scrubbing pots and pans and such. So they make really nice dishcloths. Or spa cloths, you know. I like washing my body and myself with these. So anyway, now that we're at the end of the second one, if you were going to be using this just as a cloth, you would finish it off. And to do that, you would work all the way around your single crochets until you get back to your first stitch where we started our border. And then you would just go into that first stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, cut your yarn, and then just pull this straight up and pull the yarn through and then sew it in with your yarn needle. But since we're going to be making our hot pads, we are now going to stitch the 2 sides together. And I'm going to need to zoom back out for this. But this is the right side of this one. And this is the right side of this one. Now what you want to do to put them together is, here is the wrong side. And you want to put the 2 wrong sides facing each other. And just line them up. Let me make sure I got my stitches going the right way. You know what? Let me turn this one around. I think that looks better. And I know they don't look like they're perfectly the same size, but they are. You know, when you're working with them and you hold it a certain way, depending on how you hold it, you know, you can stretch your pieces out. And that's what I do. But now that we have this, we're getting ready to stitch them together. So what I'm going to do with my yarn is, I have it where I put my slip stitch there, right? I am just going to chain 1 just to give myself some space. And I'm going to go into that center single crochet from the corner. Now let's look at our piece over here and find that center single crochet from this corner. Come on, which will be right there. And now your hook is through both pieces. You're just going to grab your yarn and pull it through and up and make a single crochet. Now you're going to go into your next stitch and the next stitch on your next layer, pull through, and we're just doing single crochets all the way around again, but this time you're going through both pieces. So just take your time with this. Depending on how many single crochets you put around your border, sometimes it may not line up 100%, you know, exact. And if it doesn't, it's okay. It's okay. You just work enough stitches together until you can get your corners lined up, and then just work stitches. If you need to add a few stitches here and there, go ahead and do that. You know, you might have to put, you might have to put 2 stitches in one, you know. You just work it around until you get them put together. So I'm just going to take my time with this and go into the next one for my single crochet. Let's go into the next one. And then when I get to the corner, we're going to do just like we did a while ago. We're going to do 3 single crochets into the corner and then just work our way back around. So let me work on this and I'll be right back. So I've got both sides stitched together along this edge here, and now I'm going to be turning the corner. Now this edge lined up pretty well. I didn't have to skip any stitches or add any stitches to the border, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're going to hit that magic number going down the sides and such, and everything is going to line up perfectly. But if it doesn't, it's okay. Like I said, just add some here and there. Skip a stitch or two if you have to get things to line up. Things like this don't have to be exact. It's not an article of clothing. It's not something that has to be exact. You know, you manipulate it to make it work. I have a lot of people say that to me. They're afraid to crochet something because they're afraid that they're going to mess it up. You can't really mess these up. Well, I guess you could, but it would take some effort. But, you know, you just manipulate it to get it to work. And believe me, after you use this a few times with some hot pans or a hot casserole dish or something setting on it, it's going to work itself out into the square shape it needs to be. So don't worry about messing it up. It'll be all right. So now I'm back to the corner, okay? So we are going to do our 3 single crochets in the corner. 2 and 3. I can count to 3, I promise. All right, so we're going to go into this one and the stitch behind it. There we go. I'm just going to keep on booking it down this side, and we're going to do it on all of the remaining sides. Now, when you get back to the corner where you started, don't cut your yarn and don't finish your yarn off, because we're going to make a loop so that you can hang this up if need be. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have worked my way all the way around with my single crochets, and isn't that pretty? I love this stitch. I really, really love this stitch. So now I am back to the corner where we started. So what I'm going to do is, you want to work your way over until you get to the very tip of the corner, because now we're going to put the loop on it so that you can hang these up and out of the way. So let me zoom in. Hello. You're going to just work your way over to this point here by making slip stitches. Just put your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and then pull it through. Okay, let's do that again. Let's get over here to the very tip of the corner. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, to make the loop, let's chain 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and a 15. So I'm going to turn this around. I'll tell you why here in a second. I want to turn this around, and then we're going to go back into the very same stitch where you started this chain. Okay, so here's our chain, and here's the stitch that's on the very tip top corner. Just pull your yarn through and then pull it through again, and there's your slip stitch. So now we are going to chain 1 and then turn it back around so that we are now on the right side of this loop. So now into this loop, we're going to be working some single crochets just to reinforce this, okay? Because this little chain here, if it gets a lot of use, this yarn might break, so let's reinforce this. So I have chained 1. Now into this loop, we're just going to work single crochets all the way around. So put your hook into the loop, grab your yarn, and there's a single crochet. Now just slide that down to the bottom of your loop. And we're just going to do that all the way around. Just however many single crochets you want to put in there to fill this up. Okay, so there went 1. I'm trying to hold this at an angle down at the table, and it's not working. I'll have to pick it back up. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now just slide these down every now and again, and just work some more into your loop. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I'll keep counting. I'll tell you how many I put in. Okay, I did 27 single crochets into this loop. So now what we're going to do is, once we get all of your single crochets in there, you see the stitch right there where we started our chain. Right in there, you're just going to go into there again, pull through, and make you another slip stitch. Okay, now we're just going to finish it off and we'll be done. So cut your yarn with scissors that are getting on your nerves, and then pull the yarn through. Bink, bink. And now just sew away your end and you're done. So let's trim this yarn a little bit more. It's kind of fraying right there. So I'm going to be using this needle. This is one of my favorite yarn needles. And I'll have a link in the description box below, and I'll pin a comment as to where you can buy these. These come from Amazon. So just thread it through. And I'm just going to push this to the back. Like so. Flip it over and then just work this through some of the stitches. I think I'm going to go up this way. I try to not go completely under the stitch because your yarn can slide back out if you do that. I try to go actually through the stitch. And that way the yarn kind of grabs onto itself, and it'll be really, really hard for it to come back out. Because if you run these through the washing machine, you know, you don't want the end popping back out. All right. So now I'm going to come back, and we're going to go back this way through some of the stitches. And then we're just going to trim this away and we'll be done. But yeah, these are really neat hostess gifts. Everybody seems to like them. Boink. So there is your hot pad with your little hanging loop there. And then you make the matching dishcloths and you have a really, really cute kitchen set. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would, give the video a thumbs up. Click subscribe. Check me out on other forms of social media, the links to all of which will be in the description box down below. And I hope to see y'all next time. Bye!